Hey everyone, welcome back to Story Impact. I'm your host, Lisa Tolles. We all know the power of a great narrative. So on this show, we focus on the master visionaries who bring those narratives to life. This series is so close to my heart because it's my way of supporting and elevating authors so you can connect with their stories and the artistic vision they're bringing to the world. Our conversations here dig deep. We look past the finished pages to explore what's truly at the core. The creator's process, their inspirations, and the unstoppable purpose that fuels their work. In addition to being your host, I'm also a crime novelist, and you can find my books on Amazon and on lisatolles.com. All right, let's get started. Today, we are joined by award-winning thriller author Nanette Potter, my good friend, creator of the high-octane Blade Broussard series. An adventurer at heart, Nanette channels her passion for travel, intrigue, and fearless storytelling into gripping international conspiracies that keep readers turning the pages late into the night. Her debut novel, Pierce the Darkness, earned national recognition from Writer's Digest and was a Killer Nashville Claymore finalist. And her follow-up, Deception's Edge, which just came out, has already garnered the Literary Titan Award and is a finalist for the Chanticleer International Clue Awards. When she's not writing, you'll find her traveling the globe, collecting sparks for her next twist-filled thriller, or at home in California's Central Valley, where she's deeply connected to the vibrant crime writing community. Nanette, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Oh my gosh, this is so much fun.
I've been so looking forward to this conversation because even though we're already good friends, I like to kind of dig into the backstory of how books like Deception's Edge and Pierce the Darkness, how they happen. But let me take a step back. I think you traveled recently, and I'm curious, do you write while you're on vacation? Or I guess maybe what I'm asking is if writing is work or play.
Writing is definitely play. And what I've done for in my last two vacations is I've actually outlined the book. So I take my laptop everywhere. My husband and I go to the pool, and I know I must look like some nerd or something with my laptop, but that's my happy place. And that's where my creativity it really does just flow. And I just start playing with characters and events, locations, and um, I actually get a lot of work done on vacations.
Yeah, because you're outside of your habitat. You're not
Yes,
like sitting in the kitchen looking at how dishes need to be cleaned or, like, yeah,
right. No laundry,
no
no
laundry.
dishes.
Yeah. I'm at the beginning of Deception's Edge, and I love how the story mythology of Blade is deepening. So tell me about your series character, Blade Broussard, and how she first came to you.
I love Blade. So Blade's been in the making for probably 12 years.
Hmm.
So it was before I retired. I started thinking about a woman protagonist. I wanted her to be strong, independent, kick-ass, everything that I kind of think I'm not sometimes. And so I was doing some research on for another book I was going to do, a historical, and I came across the Barnum and Bailey's poster of a knife thrower. And
Hmm.
I thought, oh my gosh. And immediately the name Blade
Mhm.
came to
Uh-huh.
mind,
Yeah,
and
it's perfect. Yeah.
yes. And um and it was around that time when 50 Shades of Grey came out.
Mm.
And I mean, I think almost every woman on the planet was like, oh my God, 50 Shades of Grey. I love, I just want to read it. And I just thought, I want to create a woman character in the thriller genre. Um, and I want women to be as excited about Blade as they were
Mm.
about 50 Shades of Grey.
Mm.
And that's kind of how she was born. I really wanted someone complex, yet fun. I wanted a little romance in the books,
Mhm.
so that's how she came to be.
And Blade's got some baggage. She lost her mother. She's on a trail of revenge. I mean, I guess I'm curious, how much of these first two books did you specifically plan, and how much of them just kind of came to you along the way?
Well, so for Blade, she's adopted and I'm adopted. So I kind of um, used my own feelings about adoption in the book somewhat because in my family we never talked about adoption. We never really discussed it. I mean, of course I knew I was adopted, but we never mentioned it ever.
Hmm.
And so Blade has the same experience with her adoptive parents where they never really talk about it. She really doesn't know who her biological mother is. So in book one, Blade's kidnapped essentially by her biological uncle in a way to get his twin sister out into the open because Vivian, the biological mother, is part of a secret Christian brotherhood.
Hmm.
Anyway,
Hmm.
so I
Hmm.
use that. And so I use the adoption as a way to not only, I guess, address my own feelings about it, but I wanted to change it up a little bit where Blade actually meets Vivian and, on and they have a little bit of Blade's actually able to address some of the feelings that she's had about, being
Hmm.
given up for adoption, about, well, why didn't you keep me? That all those kinds of things. So
Yeah.
Blade's complex in that regard.
I love that. And I think that you brought in something that I call the me factor. I mean, like my personal theory is that there's no such thing as fiction. Okay, you might not actually be a knife thrower in your real life, but I mean, you're finding ways to deepen the story, mythology, and impact by pulling some of your own mythology and history in it in the most beautiful way. I think that's wonderful. And now like that's going to make me have deeper feelings about her as I progress through Deception's Edge. And that's the whole point, right? I mean, like reader
Right.
impact, making an impact on a reader. That's what we're doing.
Exactly.
Um, is it true that you retired early from your long career because you just couldn't wait to start writing?
Yes, it is
Tell me
true.
about that. What type of work were you doing, and where did tell me about that?
I worked for the state of California
Mhm.
in various jobs. It was a 39-year career with
Mm.
the state. I mean, I kind of did a little bit of everything within the employment development department.
Mm.
And I wrote all the time. I mean, I wrote short stories.
Oh.
I tried writing children's books. That really wasn't my thing, but and I always thought that writing a novel. So I did try writing a novel during my time of working with the state.
Hmm.
And it didn't go very well. It was really trash as far as I was concerned. And I ended up one day just purging myself of that book and I threw it in the trash, everything. And I just thought, okay, I got to start fresh. I've got to just allow myself to think bigger. And I thought that if I retired early, that I would be able to write 8 hours a day, like I did in my day job.
Uh-huh.
Oh, heck no.
No.
I retired. I retired on a Friday and I had elderly parents. And that following Monday, my mother started having health issues.
Mm-mm.
And I just thought, oh my gosh, okay. Well, I thought two things. One is, I wish my mom wouldn't, it was like she waited for me to be available for her
Yeah,
to address some of these
I was
health
thinking.
issues.
Uh-huh.
But also, I wish I would have known that I wasn't going to have 8 hours a day to write because what ended up happening is I started writing, of course, in bursts, in 15-minute increments, an hour, wherever I could find the time between, helping care for, my mom and dad. And
Mhm.
then COVID hit. And
Mhm.
then I had grandchildren who
Mm.
were doing Zoom. And so I made myself available to be there. The little first grader was doing school, using Zoom, which was horrific. Trying to get a whole classroom of, little ones trying to learn their numbers and ABCs. It was crazy.
Hmm.
So I really, I guess if I had anything to say to anybody watching this who's a new writer, don't wait. Don't wait until you retire. Don't wait until the perfect time because I found out the hard way that there is no perfect time to write. And it took me 6 years from the inception, from writing Blade to publishing Blade. It took 6 years, but I think it was my journey. It was my journey of learning more about her and the characters,
Mhm.
about the craft.
Mhm.
There's a lot. I had no idea what I was getting myself into as far as craft.
And also the publishing industry, I mean,
Yes.
like you started that path right when the publishing industry was having like another gigantic upheaval. I mean, it's always shifting sands, but
Hmm. Yes. It was just a huge learning curve. So I was grateful for the 6 years. And
Mhm.
it made Deception's Edge, it made the writing of that book so much easier,
Hmm.
I think.
So, a knife thrower, that is so incredibly unique, but it's still within the thriller genre. And as a marketing person, I think that's just genius. I mean, like our job as readers in this sea of, I mean, our job as writers in this sea of readers and other writers is to somehow differentiate ourselves, make
Hmm.
ourselves memorable and stand out a little bit. So you've really done the impossible, still staying within the thriller genre, like a high octane, fast-paced crime thriller. Blade has something really unique about her. I mean, how did you craft her profession? I mean, you don't like see a lot about a modern day knife thrower.
You know what? YouTube is my friend, my one of my best friends. So I
Hmm.
looked at old footage. There are currently knife throwers who still do that. I looked at professional knife throwers who actually, they have competitions. I looked at how they threw. I thought about how would Blade differentiate herself in the entertainment industry with throwing knives. Her dream is to go to Las Vegas, to be a Las Vegas, you know, showstopper.
Hmm. Hmm.
And she's in New Orleans, trying to, hone her craft, and she's waiting for her big break,
Hmm.
and it doesn't come. So
Hmm.
I have Blade, being disappointed in her own world. And, so she jumps at the chance of performing for this, millionaire on an island. So she's ready for that. She's thinking in her head, okay, this is it. This is my big break. I
Hmm.
am going to wow these people and I'm going to end up in Las Vegas. And
Hmm.
it just ends up that she's terribly disappointed.
Hmm.
And it starts her on a whole other course in her life.
I just think that's so incredibly creative. All right, so let's keep talking about researching because I want to ask you about North Korea. Can I
Mhm.
read, are you okay if I read the synopsis
Sure.
of Deception's Edge? Professional knife thrower Blade Broussard is obsessed with finding Alec Quinn, the man responsible for her mother's death. But when the search is interrupted by news that her friend Chase Maserati has been captured in North Korea while on a rescue mission, Blade must make an impossible choice. Continue her vendetta or join a desperate operation to save him. So, North Korea, I mean, how did you go about researching that?
So I yeah, I used a little bit of YouTube. I really actually read biographies of people who had come out of North Korea. And in
Right.
particular, one gentleman who had been in a labor camp, he
Mm,
escaped and walked to the Chinese border, which is incredibly, I mean, I think it was like a month and a half, 2 months that he actually, he was dodging people throughout, North Korea and eating, scraps. And I mean, and he talked a lot about the life within the labor camp. So I
mm,
really garnered a lot of information from that biography. Uh,
mm,
so that was really interesting.
mhm,
I used whatever I could from YouTube as far as like Pyongyang is, you know, really interesting because they've painted their buildings in pastel colors, you
mm,
know, and I'm thinking, well, I'm sure that they're doing that because, they're trying to make it seem like a friendly country,
yeah,
uplifting.
yeah.
Um, and it's such an isolated country. But people still have to earn a living. They still have to live within that country. So I really try to incorporate people living a real life within North Korea.
Mm,
And one of the things that I try to, the Soldati de Cristo is a covert Christian organization who go out and rescue persecuted Christians.
mhm,
Well, North Korea happens to be one of the countries who is absolutely against Christianity. Bibles are, not the norm.
mhm.
Churches are managed by the state.
Right.
So it's very, very isolated. So it really helped in because it's that way, it allowed me to have Blade and the Soldati go in to North Korea without all the working gadgets,
Mm,
without the GPS, without the, you know,
mhm,
all the great things that might be available here in the United States. It's not
mhm,
there. They had a sat phone that, worked, but
mhm,
it really, it really limited their ability also. So I thought
mhm.
that was
Yeah,
interesting.
it's a great um, opportunity for tension and conflict and danger, which is why people like me read books like this in the first place. I love
Right.
it. But there's also the armchair travel aspect of it. I mean, like I read books, many readers read books for escape, but also education. I mean,
Mhm.
like to learn about a place. You did your research reading biographies by insiders, and I think that's really smart. I want to ask you about publishing again. We hear a lot of negative things about how the publishing industry's changed, and it's still changing, but there are also a lot of opportunities now. So looking back on your journey with the first two books in your series, tell us something good that you think is available now in the publishing industry based on your experience.
I think indie publishing is, I think for me, it is a godsend. You know, I, by the time I didn't know anything about self-publishing or indie publishing or anything like that when I first started writing my novel. So now it's going to be, like 10 years,
Hmm.
9. But as I learned more about the publishing industry, as I listened to more people, their podcasts, talking more about the publishing industry, I found that honestly, at my age, I'm in my 60s, I didn't want to do query letters. You hear stories about people taking 2 years of writing query letters to agents, finally getting picked up, and then the agent still has to sell the book to the publisher.
Hmm.
I mean, so now we're looking at 3 years. I did not, I felt, have 3 years to give to that type of process. So I embraced the indie publishing, and plus, I personally love all the control I have. I
Hmm.
But the one downfall is that, of course, I have to put all the money up front. So that's, it's a give and take.
Yeah.
But for me, it was, I wanted to publish my book. I wanted to do it as professionally as I could.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I can compete with, the publishing um, companies now.
Mm-hmm.
One of the pet peeves I have is when I buy a book from a publisher, one of the big five, and there are typos in it or mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And I just read one the other day, and I just thought, I don't even know how many editors went through this book. It was, uh, one of the top authors in America. And I'm thinking, okay, did this person not even read his own book? I just think it was such a glaring mistake in I just thought, you know, indie publishing, I think, is sometimes better.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
do because we go into it with an entrepreneurial spirit. We know we're going to have to market.
Right.
We know we're the ones who are going to have to make all the decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, we're able to put out a product that we're proud of and that we did have control of, rather than maybe a publishing company publishing a book and letting it languish, because they aren't going to put any marketing money in every author that they sign.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I really do think that that's small presses, I think, offer new writers a great avenue also.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's not we don't all have to be, you know, published by HarperCollins or, you know, Valentine or whoever.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Mm-hmm.
options now. We have a lot of options to get our work out into the world. And that's why we write. We write for readers to read our work.
Right. That's
And
right.
so, however way you do that, now it's not like it's do or die, on that hill trying to get published by a big five. Now we've got all kinds of different options available, and I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
I love that too. I really resonate with that word control that you said. I think for me personally that is really important to me. Who designed this unbelievable cover? This cover is amazing. You think about marketing, look at the typography, the scale of the word edge, and then the size of the word deceptions, and kind of the fonts and the typography, but then Blade on her motorcycle in this kind of sideways, like she's
Mhm.
about to, like the wheels are about to come off. I mean, that really captures um kind of like her style and like the pace of the book. Who designed that beautiful cover?
Cherie Foxley. She
Mm-hmm.
is from England,
Mm-hmm.
and we can find you can find her, online.
Okay.
So Cherie Foxley.
Okay, she did a beautiful job with it.
She
I
did.
I love that cover. Yeah. Um so we have just a couple questions left. You've given me a lot to think about, and I feel like now I know so much more about you and about Blade and this story when I kind of dive back into Deception's Edge. What do you know now, today, that you wish you knew when you first got started on your writing journey?
Well, like I previously mentioned, I wish that I had known that I can write anytime, anywhere, and it doesn't have to be for a long period of time. I
Hmm.
wish I would have known that. I wish somebody would have said, Nanette, write your novel, write the book, but perhaps, timing is everything. Maybe I wouldn't have had all the insights that I, tried to, you know, embed into Pierce the Darkness. If I had written it 10 years earlier,
Mm,
maybe it wouldn't have been the same book. I
mm,
don't know.
mhm,
But one of my things that I really hold dear to is that age whether you're young or old, doesn't have anything to do with a person's creativity or their ambition. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter if you're young, it doesn't matter if you're old. Sometimes people try to pigeonhole you into
Mm-hmm.
um, either a demographic or, an age, oh, you're too old, don't try that, or you're too young, you're never going to make it kind of mentality.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really dislike that because especially now, the world is so open
Mm-hmm.
and we can accomplish anything if we put our mind to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of
Love
my
it.
philosophy, and I
Love
I
it.
would I would probably tell people that.
Love it. What's next for Blade? Are you planning more books in the series, or are you writing like anything, any standalones or short stories? What are you working on now?
I'm working on the third blade.
Okay.
And then I think after the third one, I'm probably going to try doing a standalone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but Blade is going to get herself into trouble again. She's going to be a little bit more independent in book three. I kind of felt like Blade, because of the situation, because of the circumstances, she was always with people. She was helping, she was assisting. She wasn't the front runner. She wasn't and in book three, I'm going to have her be more of the leader, more of the front runner,
Mm.
show her independent spirit because Blade is very independent. She's
Mm-hmm.
a risk taker.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to see her do more of that in book three.
Mm. Excellent. And that seems like a natural progression based on what she's come through in the
Mhm.
first books, right? Yeah.
Right.
Love it.
She's more confident, I guess, in her in her abilities.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So where can people find your books? What your website is nanettepotter.com, right?
Yes. Yes. You can find me anywhere at Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Google, Apple. I mean, I'm out there everywhere.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me on Story Impact, Nanette. It's been such a delight to hear about you and your books. And viewers, we will see you next time.
Thank you.